Okay, I'd like to call the Finance Committee meeting to order at, I think my watches are all wrong, at 6:30. That's what my watch says, so, and in attendance, we have Representatives Bruce Flax, Representative Chase Foster, Representative Kathy Chase, and Representative Sean Powers, and myself. And we have Moderator Ebbin. Go ahead, John, you want to say something?
No, I'm just clearing my throat. I do see looks like somebody's showing up in attendees. There's somebody trying to get out. Let's see,
You got it?
Yeah.
Oh, Ed Jacome.
Okay.
Okay.
Looks like someone else open. Paige just joined us too.
Who else did?
Paige Bronk just joined us also.
Okay, so I can get everybody's name down. Okay, thank you everyone for coming tonight. And we have quite a few things on our agenda. We have no unfinished business. So we'll jump right down to new business. And the first thing on new business is Mystic Coastal Access Wayfinding Signage. So first I'll take a motion so we are able to discuss, this agenda.
Make a motion.
You make a motion, Bruce?
I will.
Okay.
I move that we authorize the allocation of $40,000 of capital reserve fund unassigned fund balance for an FYE 2021 capital reserve fund project entitled Mystic Coastal Access Wayfinding Signage.
Second.
Okay, Bruce and Kathy. Okay. All right. So John, I'm taking that this is $40,000, but the state's gonna reimburse us $15,000, but we have to allocate the $40,000.
I'll let Jon Reiner give a overview.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Jon Reiner, Director of Planning and Development Services. So the state is actually going to originally they told us they would reimburse us $15,000, and now it could be up to $20,000 that they'll be allocating towards this. So yes, we have to set the whole amount as an expenditure, but it's only going to be somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000 of town money, but at least $15,000 of state money. And just as a background, I know a number of you had walked around Mystic with us, looking at the existing Mystic Coastal Access signage. This was a program and a plan to replace this coastal access signage that we had worked on pre-COVID. And now we're trying to implement this. Connecticut Deep is very excited about what we're doing, and that's who helped initiate getting some of this funding for us to do this. We're working right now with sign fabricators to get this done, pending the approval of the RTM. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Bruce?
Thank you, Chairman Washington. So have we, do we know the signs already? Are the signs predetermined that the money's going to pay for? Like, is that part of the program? I know it wasn't part of the attachment, but are these signs, like, is this stuff like maybe, like I've been talking to Paige from the chamber side of things about signage that's going to go in front of the bookstore. Does that include that? Like what does it include is my question, please.
So none of the wayfinding signage program that Paige has been working on with the chamber and others is a different set of wayfinding signs. This is specifically for the coastal access trail along the river and along the roadway, identifying, like through Mystic, getting people to the coastal access trail. So that's what these signs are for specifically, not the park here or anything like that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
How many signs does that include for that trail? I mean,
so total number of signs, I think that we're looking at, it was somewhere over 9 of the ship's knees type of signs. There's going to be wrappings that are going to go upon some of the, oh my goodness, I keep saying that the poles that the ships tie up to, which is not the right term, and I keep losing it. There'll be some vinyl adhered to the ground so people can see it. So it's a number of different sign types that we're looking at. But those ship's knee signs, some of those are going to be hung on buildings and some of them will be ground mounted.
Pilings.
So you're going to have more
Thank you,
than
Paige.
9, you're going to have more than 9 signs, I take it.
Yes.
Okay.
We don't want to oversign it, but we want to make it very clear that people see the connection and where they can go. Whereas right now, it's not very cohesive. You know, when we walked through that area, probably about a month ago, the signage program was disconnected.
So do you have an approximate number of signs that you plan to purchase?
So it's signs, it's wrappings for the pylons. So we're looking to get everything for that price.
Okay. Any other
And
questions?
it's going out to bid right now, so it's a little tough to get the exact number of signs per the price.
Any other questions? Kathy? Representative Chase?
Thank you. So this is, I don't know the history of this. I think this is all started way before my time, I believe, Jon Reiner. So is it a town responsibility to put these signs up as a rule?
So generally, yes. So initially, when the town started getting these coastal access ways as part of land redevelopment projects, so anytime a water dependent use was converted to a non-water dependent use. So for example, if a marina changed to condos, that's a water dependent use changing to a non-water dependent use. We would get coastal access as part of that change of use as part of the planning commission or now planning and zoning commission approval. The Connecticut Deep helped pay for the initial signs, which were basically your run-of-the-mill street sign, almost like a no parking sign or something. Like, we tried to say, all right, how can we do something a little bit more unique, more identifiable, a color scheme and signs without over signing the area? And that's where we're looking at like the wrappings around the pylon. So it's clear that, oh, this is the way that I'm going to go, but it's not a sign on every other pylon. It's something that's going to blend with the area a little bit more. We've also been in discussions with a number of the property owners that we hold the easements on these properties to just kind of run through the final sign locations with them. And that's been a very good conversation. Is that helpful?
That is helpful. One other question for now is, so from the letters that we got from the citizen, Mr. Fitzgerald, is this what he's been talking about, that he wants all these signs back up, and this is what he wants, all the signs will be up and then he won't, this is what he wants, is that correct?
No, this is John. These are different, but the spots he wants the signs up are spots where we've shown that we don't have rights to.
Oh.
You know, they may have been there originally, but without securing leases or agreements, we're not legally, we can't put them up. This is just strictly for improving access to what we have to make it more clear, because most people don't know we have this trail at all. So.
Okay, so Mr. Fitzgerald's letters are for areas that we have no legal right to.
Correct.
Is that
Not
correct?
that he agrees with that.
Excuse me?
Not that he agrees with that.
Oh, okay, but that is the fact though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We don't have legal. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a couple questions.
Okay, go ahead, Chase.
Are we replacing any of the existing signs?
You were home.
Yeah, so there are a number of those kind of metal, almost like street looking signs or
John,
no
John,
parking
John.
signs that, yes, we will be replacing the side of, yep, yes. Oh,
John,
did I
John, there's
break
something wrong with
up a
your
little bit
audio.
there?
Sound like a record. They're like slowing
Oh.
down and speeding up.
Yeah, Hey, John,
Oh,
It's your
can you hear
connection.
me?
you can't
there-
get him? Hey, John,
Yes.
there's something wrong with your audio. Your microphone.
Oh,
It
okay.
sounds like a record that's dragging. Oh, when we get, sounds like Kathy Chase when she's drinking too much. All right, can you repeat what you said, John? Please?
Sure.
Thank you. I
Sure.
appreciate it.
Is that any better? Or am I still
Much better.
dragging?
No.
Okay, good. Sorry about that. So, yes, there will be some existing signs that are being replaced. Any of the existing signs that are out there now will be replaced.
Okay, and then is there going to be signage to direct people around? I think it's called the Powerhouse, that apartment complex, that there's no way to walk in front of it.
Yes, so what we will not be crossing Powerhouse property. We will be directing people through the Mystic Museum of Art's parking lot, back out onto Water Street, and then around. And there's a way to get to the other side of the Powerhouse from there. So that's all part of the wayfinding signage plan.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a couple of questions, John.
Go
Just
ahead.
quick
Go
ones.
ahead.
The cost is for installation of the signs as well, correct?
We'll be working with our Public Works Department to have them install the signs.
Okay, and I just have one other question. Is there like a map or anything we're gonna have so that people know not to walk through the areas that we don't have legal, direction to go cross properties? Is there any kind of like map, or are we gonna give like, here's the coastal access map or something to that impact? Or
Yes.
a sign that's basically gonna say, this is the path, so that when they start on it, they can see it?
So yes to both of those. The ship's knees signs will actually show it'll have a "you are here" mark on it. It'll have the entire kind of coastline of Mystic, and it'll show where all the connections
great.
are.
That's
We also got some feedback from some of the property owners of, hey, we'd love it if we had some of those kind of a 1-page or a half-page little map to hand out to people. So that's something we're also going to be working on.
Thank you, John.
Representative Flax?
Oh, I just have Representative Jacome had his hand up too, I think, before me. I
Okay.
never had spoken once.
All right. I don't see, okay. Okay, Representative Jacome?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Washington. I just had a quick question. Mr. Fitzgerald mentioned that he didn't want other projects grouped with, coastal signage. We're like, we're sure that you're not going to add other projects onto this one project, correct? This is for Mr. Burt or Mr. Reiner.
This is John. So this project is on its own. This is the Mystic Coastal Access Signage Project. There's nothing else that we're doing. We're not signing anything anywhere else as part of this project.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Representative Flax?
Thank you. John, just with the, you were talking about brochures or whatever, can we please make sure that the chamber gets some, because we'll be actively helping with that kind of stuff right downtown.
Definitely.
One other thing to mention is an advantage with these newer signs. Pretty regularly, our older signs are small. They're easy for people to walk off with them. We've had quite a lot go missing. We have to keep going back out there and replace them. These are going to be heavy duty. They're not going to be things people can just easily abscond with.
Now, that's good. That's good. I can't believe people walk off with our signs. That's too bad. Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, we're ready to vote on allocation of $40,000 of capital reserve fund, unassigned fund balance for a FYE 2021 capital reserve fund project entitled Mystic Coastal Access Wayfinding Signage. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Okay, it's approved. All right. Hold on one second. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Pleasant Valley School property sale and referral. Would anybody like to make a motion so we can discuss that?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
Make a motion to authorize the sale of and to recommend the sale of the former Pleasant Valley School to the RTM. I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Second.
Foster.
Okay, thank you, Chase. Okay, Jon Reiner or John Burke, do you want to take us through this one?
This is
And I
Jon
saw
Reiner.
Sean, you were on that committee, right?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so you can add things if you want to. I don't have to tell you that, so, but I just wanted to say it anyway. Okay.
So good evening, Jon Reiner, Director of Planning and Development. Paige Bronk is also here tonight to add a few words to this. So really what we're talking about tonight is the disposition of property. And we're talking about the Pleasant Valley School. This property is currently zoned multifamily. It is approximately 17 acres in size. There is an existing school on the property that will need to be demolished and remediated. There's, as part of the process of going through this disposition, the town council holds a public hearing. This property was referred to the Planning and Zoning Commission. They positively referred this onto the council, saying that the sale is consistent with the POCD. Again, that's focused on the disposition. So anytime that there's a property that is selling for, that's valued at more than $10,000, we have to go through that public hearing process through the council, through the RTM. We also, as part of that process, everybody knows, and Chair Washington had just mentioned, there is a committee where we put out an RFP. We're still going through that process. We have not formally announced a preferred developer for the property. So it's something that we're still discussing and going through negotiations. I do think it's very important to point out that we've heard from a number of RTM members, members of the public with some of the last properties that we've been going through this process for, about the need for some open space connection, some recreation, as well as trails. And we've been working with our Parks and Rec Department and Director Mark Berry on this particular project. The previously approved Parks and Recreation plan for the town had identified in this area of town a shortage of open space, of trails, and access to public, the public having access to trails and open space, as well as some recreation amenities. So those are all things that we look to have actively incorporated into any development that happens on this site that would be open to the public. Paige, I'm not sure if there's anything else you wanted to add.
I think that accurately covers it. Just one other clarification. There are actually 4 buildings on the site. It is correct, as Jon said, that there's the main school building that's roughly 31,000 square feet. But there are 3 other smaller buildings, including one on the northern site that's about 9,000 square feet. And the town had in the past done some basic remediation, including removal of oil tank on site. Thank you.
Okay, any questions? Kathy? Okay.
Chase had his hand up before I did. I'll wait till he's done.
Okay, Representative Foster?
Oops, sorry, struggling to unmute myself. Thank you. So you mentioned that people have expressed the desire to have some type of open space over there. What is going to guarantee the town and us on the RTM that once we approve selling the property, that something would be set aside or there would be some use to address those concerns? And is it possible to just not sell the whole thing and just save a piece of it specifically for that, so at least it's still under town control?
So a couple of things. One, the town council has also brought up those concerns and those points. The council has to approve any option or purchase and sales agreement for the property. We also, it would be honestly best to have, as part of a development project, a developer do the work, make the improvements, build the trails as part of their approvals for the site. And that's something that we can incorporate into any sale, so that it's not something else that we, the town, have to do, but instead we can dictate to the developer what it is exactly that we're looking for.
Okay, understood. But once we approve on the RTM side, we have no longer have any input into what happens there. And so there's not really anything that gives us a warm and fuzzy that we are a part of that decision-making process. It's just, we say to sell it, and then basically anything could happen to it outside of the RTM.
Right, and this is John, and that is the RTM role is to decide whether to sell the property generically. It's the council's role to ensure that everything we've been looking at is put into writing, which is definitely the intent. But, certainly we want to take any input from the RTM and try to incorporate it into anything we sign.
John, is
Thank you.
is that in the town charter?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that's unfortunate. Representative Chase?
Thank you, Madam Moderator, or Madam Chair, sorry. I elevated you a little bit. So I just came from another meeting prior to this one, and they were talking about a couple of boats coming in soon, and there is no place for people to live in Groton. And the apartments that are here, a lot of them are studios and one bedrooms. Can you keep that in mind when you get a developer, that we need places for children to live? We need 2-3 bedroom places for them. And the other thing is, I know you don't have a developer yet, but I don't know if you have any ideas of what you want to go there, but are they going to be apartments again or single family homes? Do you have any idea of that yet?
We do not envision single family homes going on that property. It's zoned for multifamily.
Okay. Okay, but just keep in mind that we need a place for children to live if we want to keep everybody here.
Representative Chase, just on that note, the mayor just gave me an update a little while ago. Susan Beisowitz called her about the exact same thing with concerns over the 2 boats. One good piece of good news for Balfour Beatty, apparently they've now gone towards more of a policy of they're not renewing leases for private citizens. They want to keep it for military. So they're starting to transition that over.
Oh, back over to what it was.
Yeah, which means a little more money towards the schools.
Right, yeah.
I wanted to also comment, we've been talking about housing actually for a number of years. And we believe that it's a very important economic and community development driver. And there have been a couple plans and studies that have been worked on by the department over the past few months. And that information will be released this summer. And we'll definitely make that information available. But I think the large demand on really all levels across all socioeconomic levels across town is that's basically the consensus coming out of these studies. The demand for housing, particularly newer housing, is greater than I think most people anticipated. And we definitely would encourage people to look at those studies when they come out this summer. I think they'll be quite eye-opening. So we think we're on the right track, but we need more housing and more housing choice to accommodate all different types of demands.
Exactly. So where can we build single family homes in Groton? Is there any space for that?
There is land still available for single family housing. a number of single-family housing developments over the past decade that were proposed ended up getting opposition for different reasons. A number of them were actually, bought out by conservation organizations, and we just haven't seen a lot of the larger single-family subdivision pressure or applications for some time. Are we starting to get some inquiries? Yes, but a lot of the land that's left in Groton is very difficult land. It's ledgy land. So do I think we'll see some subdivision activity? Yes, for single family, but I think really where it makes sense is a lot of the multifamily, because that's when they can actually afford to spend the money to remove the rocks, the ledge, and work on the site, as opposed to doing that for a single family development. The numbers just don't work.
What about the land where the 9-hole golf course used to be? What road is that? That's not Paquonic Road, but it's
So-
off of Thomas Road. What
Yeah,
about that
so-
land?
High Rock Road.
Yeah.
So one that's in the flood zone and it's zoned industrial. So
Oh.
that's not an area we really want to see housing go into, because we have very limited industrial land around town. But talking about housing and getting into some of the other sites, those are things that we'll happily discuss with all of you as we are finalizing some of those housing reports. One of those projects, the Affordable Housing Plan, Chairwoman Washington has been involved in, as well as some others. So that's some information we'll be able to present to everybody sometime in the next month or two.
Anyone else have a question? Because I have a.
I had one more, if you don't mind.
No,
I
no,
had
no.
my
go ahead.
hand up.
Okay, so Jon Reiner probably, so you said we have to demolish the building and remediate. Is that, we have to do that, or is that gonna be the developer doing that on their
The-
dime?
The developer will be doing that on their dime.
Okay, thank you.
That's it, Representative Chase? You're done?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Representative Powers?
Thank you, Chairman Washington. Just to give everyone a little understanding, a better understanding of everything. We have a variety of different housing that we're putting forward to the community, and right now, single family housing for military people is hard to come by. Rentals are hard to come by, for what Kathy's talking about and Representative Chase is talking about. To get developers to come in and to build, we have adjacent towns that's going on in, but I think Jon said it the best. The land is very rough. When you start blasting and you start digging out ledge and bringing utilities in, it's very expensive. And every time we break a hull on a boat, and we got a whole bunch of Columbia boats that are coming here, we have to have a variety of different housings. And I think when we look at the J-list study that was done, and we look at the plan of conservation and development, and we give Paige and Jon a lot of credit for trying to follow through with what those two studies have showed us that we need in town. And I think they're doing a good job. From everything that I did, I can't, because of confidentiality with developers, when you go onto these committees, and it's not really a committee, all we are, how would I say this, Paige? We looked at a bunch of different developers, and when we put the RFP together to go out, we can't discuss what their plans are because it's confidential documents. So we can't bring what's going on to the RTM. And we have a strict code of ethics that we have to follow with these people. All we're here to do is to help guide the people that we put in charge, which is Paige and Jon, to help find a preferred developer. So there's a lot that goes in there. And it's a very difficult thing to get people to come here and say, let's put a development together. If we have surplus land that can be done on, and then to go through the planning and zoning process, that's when we all have a chance to come forward and speak. As we've already spoken already with the Mystic Oral School, there's many people that are against things, many people that are for things. If you come up here to the Sealy School, I have 2 of these projects going on right out my back door. And I go by them all the time to see where we're going with them. And our town is growing and we're growing in a very positive direction. If we go look at the new units that are there, they're occupied. I mean, and the people that are doing the work, as far as I can see, are doing pretty quality stuff for our town. And we have a diverse housing that we're giving the public when they come to our town. So I think we're moving in the right direction. I think we're building our tax base. When Paige put together the study of all the different tax increases we're going to have from both businesses and housing, our tax rolls are going up. Plus, eventually, we're going to have the docking system and we're going to be getting paid from EB for what we're doing here. So I think my hat's off to the men and the women in the ECD. I
Okay.
really pay attention because it's part of my job in real estate. So thank you.
Yeah.
I hope that
But-
explains some of what we do.
No, that explains it. I think one of the unfortunate aspects of the RTM is the town council, as well as the Board of Education, they can both go into executive session to talk about these sensitive issues. And I don't think the RTM has that power. So being that the RTM doesn't have that power to go into executive session, we cannot be updated on what's really going on. And so, I mean, you know, like the town council could be updated because they can go into executive session and they can talk about the ins and outs of developing property, but the RTM doesn't have that power to do that. Am I correct? I don't think we do. I've been
Bruce,
on
you
it
know
for a
more
while
about
and
it.
we never went into executive session.
You're correct.
Yeah, and so that's unfortunate that, like Representative Forster said, that, you know, we approve this stuff, but we never find out like what goes on and, you know, but that's the way it is. I do have two questions. What is your vision for rent in the new housing? Do you have can you tell a developer, we don't want the rent to be over a certain amount of money? Because if we want the Navy people, the military people that live there, then we have to keep how much the rent is in mind, and how much is the property worth, and how much are we selling it for? Anyway,
So I'll jump in as John on a couple of those. So one, we can't, just as I can't tell you how much, yes, this property is owned by the town, but we're trying to sell this and get redevelopment on it. So telling somebody what they can rent it for, we can help guide them towards what types of housing we're looking for in the town, but we really can't set a cap on what the rent is going to be. Just as, you know, I'm not going to, a little different, but I'm not going to tell you the maximum price that you can sell your house for unless we were looking to deed restrict these properties. Then what we sell them for would be substantially reduced. I can't give you an exact number right now, but we're looking to sell this property at fair market value. Now, granted, as part of that, there is going to be a demolition cost, and that impacts what the total price of the property coming in will be, but it is something that we expect to get a substantial sum for this property.
did you have was the property appraised?
Oh, yes, and the property was appraised, and I'm just trying to pull the appraisal up on my computer right now. I believe it was over $4 million was the appraisal price of the property, and that was assuming that the building was taken down. Give me a moment and I'll see if I can pull that up. I don't know if there's any other questions.
Any other questions? Representative Flax, and then Representative Jacome, do you have your hand up too?
I do not.
Okay,
Thank you, Chair.
Representative Flax?
Thank you, Chairman Washington. I guess I kind of want to talk, address kind of what Chase was saying. I think I'm not questioning like the process of who's doing a good job and who's not doing a good job. I think that, you know, everyone's for economic development in town. What I see is it's odd to me that the ability to sell the property comes to the RTM because it's over $10,000. But the RTM can't look at the deal itself because there's no deal. And so we're just saying it's over $10,000. So you need to give the okay, when I think they're asking for the RTM's okay. And it's an uneducated answer on the RTM side because we don't know ultimately what the sale is going to be for. So it seems to me, and I know Jon had said something and he just unmuted, so I'm sure he's going to say more, but I know we're the fiscal arm and the council is the everything else, but it seems to me like from the fiscal side of things, we should have a bigger say other than it's just over $10,000, we give you the green light to sell. Once the developer is chosen or a bid is chosen and the purchase price is sent, it should be approved by the RTM because it is a fiscal thing. And we are talking about value and good deal and whether it's appropriate for the town or not. And so it seems that we should have more. I never saw it this way before when I was on council, and if it was this way, no one brought it to my attention. But I don't understand how we can be the fiscal arm and only be allowed to give the green light to sell at an undisclosed amount to an undisclosed developer, and that's the only say that we have. And if that's the case, then I would vote no.
I agree with
Bruce,
Representative Flax.
just a couple points. In terms of divulging information, it was already mentioned how it's private until we get to a certain stage. It can be divulged to the town council because they are the ones that sign the agreements and have the authority over that. The RTM doesn't. That's part of why the RTM, that we can't divulge some of the information to the RTM. But on top of that, if you're going to be negotiating a sale, what you don't want to do is go through a long process, agree to something, and then have the RTM, who's not the ones who signed the agreement, suddenly try to start changing things.
Yeah, but Jon, couldn't the zoning change it too? I mean, there's a number of different approvals that it has to go through once the developer is chosen. So I agree with you. I don't think, obviously there's that's done in closed doors and who the developer is going to be and how you end up choosing that. But once that choice is made, it sounds like the RTM and the people should have a say in whether or not the agreed upon value that the council made is financially responsible from the town side. And that's what the RTM does. So can't there be a place where I can't imagine the charter, it says it can't happen, but.
No, it doesn't say it can't happen. However, the more stumbling blocks you can take out of a process, the better. Anything we can remove to have a clean flow. As I mentioned earlier, you have the town council process where people can weigh in, including the RTM, as well as the planning commission process. So there's more, and maybe you might have the inland wetlands. There's lots of times for the RTM members to weigh in. But this is really getting more into policy, and at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, and may I add that the more people you have with confidential information, the less confidential it will be.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Could I add to that possibly? That last point is probably my greatest fear. Clearly, this is a project that will impact the community and our economy, no doubt. But it's very different from a standard planning or community vision process. There's a certain trust when a developer, multiple developers with many of these properties, submits a highly detailed proposal. And I think that it somewhat gives it a disservice, the process that is, in saying it's a fiscal decision. It has fiscal impacts, but saying it's a fiscal decision, that is only a small proportion of what takes place. There are a number of interviews and a lot of back and forth that is done by the committee. And ultimately, even after this committee says, we think this is the best developer, that simply kicks off a negotiation between the town and the developer, and how that future project is unveiled to the public, we have to be pretty careful about that moving forward. As a side note, we like to have actually a public meeting before we go public with the council. So we like to get before the public to unveil the project, to explain it to the public, and then shortly thereafter have the public meeting with the council. And there is a certain amount of trust as we're moving through that process with whatever developer is selected, that we're not going to be divulging information that would tend to, I think, scare away development interests. So
Yeah.
I understand the interest in trying to be open, but I think it does have to be controlled. Otherwise, it can jeopardize the deal.
Yeah, I think I'm just asking that Paige, I don't want proprietary information divulged. I just want that once the town and the powers that be, the council, whoever it is, you and John, everyone agrees that that's the property and that's the sale price, that it should go to the RTM at that point for approval. And that's, the RTM is a representative town meeting. It's 45 people who represent the town. Whereas the council may have, different parts of town left out of their voting because they may represent 4 districts instead of all 7. We represent all 7. And it seems that there's something weird with the process that it doesn't come to us at that point, that it's just weird that we're giving the green light to spend to sell the property. I mean, we all agree we want to sell it, but we don't have any idea of what it's going to be sold for or who it's going to be sold to. I don't want the proprietary stuff. I just want, once you guys make that decision, if it's the right decision, and there's buy-in, then the RTM is going to approve it. I don't think there'd be pushback if there was, but I think that there should be. Anyway, that's all. Thanks.
Good points, Representative Flax. I agree with everything you said. Any other questions?
Representative Foster had his hand up and so do I, but he had his hand up much longer.
Okay, Representative Foster.
Thank you, Chair Washington. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. I'm not trying to argue, or honestly, to me, the end use, that like you said, there's all the people involved in that decision-making process. I'm just looking, this is a town asset. It is land. We have other town assets that are parks that we invest money into. And all I'm looking for is, do none of the other departments need or want this? And is there no need in that town for a park or anything else? And in that case, there's not really any reason to hold on to it. It makes sense to sell it, but I guess that's what's missing to me, is I'm not seeing that there's no town use for this. And in that case, we should just get it off our books.
We do have an internal process we go through to determine whether it should be sold or not, and including the different, like Planning and Zoning Commission give their opinion, which the Conservation Commission, the EDC, and even the Conservation Commission, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Paige and John, but they recommended selling this.
You're correct.
Right. And then this is kind of neither here nor there, but we are looking at another piece of property near there that has been offered as part of, when you do a subdivision, you have to provide open space. There's another property that's near there. Now it's very rocky and it's got some wetlands, but we're hoping there's enough there to also do something there on top of whatever's left here.
Thank you.
We did go through a whole process on whether there was no use internally, and it was, Parks and Rec don't want to take on more parks. Board of Ed was maintaining this property before. Parks and Rec, a lot more staff can't take on more parks like that. So there's really not much option but to divest ourselves of that property.
Well, John, it's okay. If we need parks, then the Parks and Recs department has to take on more parks. It shouldn't be, they don't want to take on more parks, so we don't want to develop any parks. Is that what you're saying?
So we have to be careful about our resources, about whether we can maintain it without. I try my best not to add more staffing, but we are working. We are cognizant of wanting generally parks on that side of town. So we are keeping that in mind.
Okay. Well, John, if it's good staffing, we're okay with that.
Okay.
I'm okay. I'll speak for myself.
I'll make a note, no bad staffing.
Okay,
Yeah,
Moderator
like
Ebbin?
more staff.
I just wanted to say that I thought that Representative Flax brought up some really good points. And I just wonder about this vetting that occurs, because we're in a situation with the Mystic Oral School where we have a convicted criminal who's basically being, put forth as the preferred developer. And so I wonder if maybe more sunshine on this vetting process would help, and maybe having more RTM participation in some of these earlier committees would help alleviate some of these issues. Because I think, as Representative Flax said, we have a real diversity of members who represent the entire town. And I think those perspectives would be well brought to bear in making decisions, these development decisions. So I just want to note that I don't think that the vetting has been very good, at least in that case, whatever did occur. That would be it.
Just to, oh shoot, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, in terms of vetting, in terms of this, now obviously some things are going to change when we start new processes in terms of putting more language up front on trying to catch anything. We are doing a criminal background check or general background check, including criminal, with current developer. They had no problem with that, no issue. Any agreement we have will have some kind of out clause in there. So, lesson learned, there will be that. But I do see, I'm not sure what our next property we would look at pursuing would be, maybe SB Butler, to do something with that. But I could see, like, whether it's more RTM representatives in the process, but I think there's something that could be agreed to.
Okay. And what about the idea that Representative Flax brought up about it coming back to the RTM after the sale is finalized?
Well, I think we need to continue this process right now. However, we'll come back as quick as we can and give a update. But like I said, as we start new processes, that's something we can certainly look at the process. And I think the council's looking at it anyways.
Okay.
And this is Jon Reiner. Just one thing to kind of weigh in on the process. So as we were going through and counting all the steps that happen, just to get to the point of being able to sell one of these properties, it's actually 14 public meetings at a minimum, if there's no continuances or anything else, to get from, do we want to sell this property, to actually approving of a purchase and sales agreement. So and those are council RTM meetings. It's a lot of steps. There is a lot of public vetting, but again, we hear you loud and clear about what is the best way of doing that.
And I think John's alluded to, we know it's going to be multifamily because that's what he said. That I think he made, hinted at that. So, basically what's going to be there. It's a good transition zone between residential and the commercial there. And he also hinted at that the appraised value, less cost of demolition. So you're getting an idea of what's going on with that. It's a very good deal, and very enthused about it.
Okay. Any other questions? Representative Chase and then Representative Foster.
Thank you, Chair Washington. I totally agree with everything Representative Flax said and Representative Foster, but short of, our hands are tied, just like Representative Flax said, and short of doing a charter revision, and we're not obviously doing that at this point, I'm going to vote yes for this because we need to sell this property and get it on the tax rolls. But I agree with everyone that this process should be a little different. But again, keeping in mind that the more people who know a secret, the more it's going to get out.
Thank you, Representative Chase. Representative Foster.
Oh, no, my hand's down. Thank you, though.
Okay. Director Landry, you have your hand up? Or is that your hand? Representative Chase? So. You have your hand up, okay.
No, I don't see any hands up at all.
Oh, I see a little hand on my screen.
No, Bruce is waving at you.
Okay, go ahead, Representative Flax.
Thank you. Just to reiterate what Representative Chase was saying, and my bagels are ready, so I have to get them. But I want to say that it sounds to me like it could be added into the process that we get to approve the RTM. The RTM gets to approve once the decision is made, all the the behind door stuff is done, that we get to, that it could still be, we could still be in the process to approve that. It sounded like that's what Town Manager Burt said to me. I heard, that's what I heard him say, but I could be wrong. I have to take the bagels out of the oven. My wife.
I think we can work out a process. We're going to be discussing internally, and I'm sure we can come up with something better.
Okay, well, maybe you have an answer for us, Town Manager Burt, at our next RTM meeting. How soon can we expect some kind of answer to that question from Representative Flax?
I'll start giving it some thought. That's pretty, it's next week though.
Oh, okay.
The council has to weigh in on that.
Okay, well, maybe by the July RTM meeting, if we have
Yeah.
a meeting in July.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, John.
Must smell
Very
good.
impressive, Bruce.
Must smell good in Bruce's house.
Whereas I made eggs yesterday, and I think I can't eat eggs for a year now because they were so bad.
How could you make bad eggs?
I don't know, but I did.
We'll ship a half dozen bagels over to you, John, soon.
Are they homemade? All right.
Yes, they are.
Oh, good, good. All right, so are we ready to vote on the motion to authorize the sale of and to recommend the sale of the former Pleasant Valley School to the RTM? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention?
Foster.
Opposed?
Nay, Foster.
Okay. Are you opposed, Representative Flax?
I am.
Okay,
But it
Okay,
passes,
the
right?
mo-
3-2.
3-2.
Yep.
Okay, the next item, thank you. The next item on the agenda is 2021-252 FYE 2021 CIP Crystal Lake Road reconstruction. Can someone, Sean, can you make a motion so we could talk about Crystal Lake reconstruction? Do you
Yeah,
have
let
it?
me get to it. Yeah,
Okay, take your time.
I'd like to make a motion authorizing the allocation of 55,320 of capital reserve fund unassigned fund balance for FYE 2021 Crystal Lake Road reconstruction project.
Second.
Second, Representative Flax. Okay. Is this gonna be you, Town Manager Burt, or Greg Hanover?
It'll be Greg.
Okay. All right, Mr. Hanover, can you walk us through this?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. Greg Hanover, Director of Public Works. When the town reconstructed Crystal Lake Road a number of years ago, we entered into an agreement with the state that the funding would be 80% federal, 10% state, and 10% local or town funding. When the project first began, the state, who was administering the contract, did an estimate that the project was going to be approximately $5 million. The town, had a CIP project back in 2016 for $500,000, which was our 10% share. The way the state does the process is they give us what they call a demand deposit, where we basically cut them a check for the, back then it was $500,000. During the project, we ran into a number of contaminated soil issues and other things that drove the cost of the project up to a little over $6 million. So in 2017, the state came back and gave us a demand deposit for an additional $116,000, which was our 10% share again. Now that the project has been completed, the state has done all the final quantity estimates and all the costs that they have incurred, and the total project came out to $6.7 million. So the town's portion was $671,000. Based on the previous amounts that we've paid, we still owe them a balance of $55,320. And that's what they're asking the town to pay. Since we don't have a CIP project for this, we're looking to take this out of capital reserve. And that's about it. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Hanover, Representative for Chase?
Thank you. Can you give me a little history on this road? It's one of the roads that I have no reason to ever go on. What was wrong with the road and how long did it take to get to this point of completion? Because I remember hearing about it since I've been on the RTM, so I don't.
Yeah, I mean, this road, it was, it's a major driveway essentially to the sub-base main gate. It's always been a 4-lane road. It was, the pavement was in really poor condition. The traffic signal at Military Highway and the Nautilus and main gate was constantly malfunctioning. So we, entered into agreement with the state that to do this project, to widen the road. We also put in a multi-use trail along Crystal Lake Road and also along Route 12 up to South Pleasant Valley Road as part of this project. So it's really, and a new traffic signal. So it's really, there was quite a bit of work that went into this. I mean, we started this project with public informational meetings probably back as far as 2011, 2012. So it's been, almost 10 years. So it's taken a long time, but the actual work has been done for a little over a year now.
The traffic signal isn't included in this price, is it? I thought the traffic signal was included in some other CIP.
No, this signal at the main gate was
okay.
included in this price. It was done as part of this project, so that's all new, that whole signal. And we did some realignment of Military Highway to the front entrance to the gate to make the traffic flow a lot better there. I don't know if anybody's been through there, but it is, we took the old Fiscone's cleaner. We demolished that building. And that's where we had a lot of contamination and stuff there.
Why did you need to demolish that building to do the roundabout thing?
Yeah, to get the realignment of Military Highway to the main gate.
Because that street is pretty short, so it seems quite expensive for a short street. But I guess with the work that you had to do, that's what drove up the price.
Yeah, and the multi-use trail is very long. It goes all the way up, like I said, along Route 12, all the way up to South Pleasant Valley Road, which it's quite a long distance there. And that's a 10-foot wide, bike trail, pedestrian trail.
Moderator Ebbin, do you have your hand up?
Oh, I had one more question. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Town Manager Burt told us at another meeting that we were only responsible for, Groton is only responsible for like 4 traffic lights in the whole town. That's one of them then that we have to pay for?
Correct, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. So are we ready to vote on allocation of $55,320 of capital reserve fund unassigned fund balance for a FYE 2021 Crystal Lake Road reconstruction project? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, so it passed unanimously. Okay. All right, the next item on the agenda. Thank you, Greg Hanover. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is approval for fourth quarter transfers for FYE 2021. I'll turn this over to Director Landry. Oh, do I have a motion for that first? Go ahead, Bruce. You're muted.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
A resolution for the following fourth quarter transfers from contingency to the following general fund departments. Voter registration 100306-5103, $9,000. And further resolve that transfers totaling $28,104 be transferred from contingency 1,094 to the following general fund departments, functions, and refer to the RTM for approval. Insurance and claims, 15,000. Debt service, 13,104. So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Representative Chase, thank you. Okay, Director Landry, can you walk us through this one?
Yes, I will. As you know, the town charter provides for, at the end of the year, that we can do fourth quarter transfers to cover unexpended expenditures throughout the year. And what, I have two referrals here tonight. The first one, the 28,104, it's only those over $10,000 have to go to the RTM for approval. So you'll be approving the 28,104 for debt service and insurance and claims. And the debt service, the reason we have to have the increase for debt service, when we went to issue the bonds last year, and the first principal and interest payment was due in 21, the bonds came in higher than we had estimated in the budget. So I'm short a little bit of $13,000 to pay the debt service for the bonds we issued last year. And then for judgment and claims, as it was last year, unemployment took a significant increase in unemployment again this year. So if you have any questions?
So Cindy, we do not have to vote on voter registration. Is that what you, that's off the,
That's correct. Yes, it's
Okay.
only those over $10,000. But I think if
Okay.
you just make the motion that you approve the fourth quarter transfers, I don't know if we need to actually specify that.
okay. Well, we could make a motion for the $28,104 and just
Sure.
leave out the $9,000.
Yep.
That's more specific. Okay, any questions? None?
well, we could say, no, she can't pay the bills. I don't think she liked that too well.
Please don't. I have to have the debt service, at least pass my debt service.
Okay. Okay, so the motion to approve, to transfer $28,104 from the contingency 1094 to the following general fund, insurance claims, 15,000, and debt service. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? You're in favor, Sean, right?
Sean has a headache.
Sean, you have a headache?
I think we're giving him a headache.
All right, pass unanimously then. All right, the next item on the agenda is fourth quarter transfers. Okay, Cindy.
Okay,
Do
when
I
I
have a
put the-
motion? I need a motion first.
Yes,
I'll make a
Anybody want to
mo-
give me, go ahead,
I'll-
Representative
I'll make
Chase.
a motion that transfers totaling $130,000 be transferred from contingency number 1094 to the following general fund departments functions and refer the following departments functions and referred to the RTM for approval. Contributions to other funds, revaluation fund number 107-301-5230 for unexpected additional legal fees. I so move.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay, Cindy.
okay, during the budget process, I did mention that this would be coming to as a fourth quarter transfer. But as you know, the funding for the reval fund comes from contributions in other funds via the general fund. And I think you're also aware that we have a couple of lawsuits out there that have incurred legal fees that exceeded what I had anticipated for this year. So we need an additional contribution to the reval fund to cover those legal fees so that that fund is not in a deficit position at year end. You know that we accumulate funds in this on an annual basis so that we can cover the reval each year, and we are in a reval this year, so we don't want this account to run short.
Okay. Any questions for Director Landry? Are we almost resolving those legal cases?
They're working their way through the system. You know, COVID kind of put a kibosh on everything. One of the suits has been delayed a couple of times, but we do, I'm sorry, I didn't bring the dates with me, but I think in There's one scheduled for trial this calendar year and one is not scheduled, I don't believe, until the spring of 22.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. So all those in favor of the transfers totaling $130,000 from the contingency 1094 to the following general fund department / functions and refer to the RTM for approval, contributions to other fund, revaluation fund. All those in favor say aye.
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 Good, John. Opposed? All right, passed unanimously. Now, would this
Very
happen again?
much.
Would this happen again next year? Because now next year you're doing revals again, right?
Well, no, the revaluations is going to be effective with 10/1/21. They'll be on the July 1 of 22 bills. And usually it's the year after the reval that
Okay.
the lawsuits were filed because, you know, people have the opportunity to, when people receive the reval notice, first they will come and they can meet with reval company. Then they can also go to the BAA. And then the last resort for a taxpayer would be to file a lawsuit, which has happened in these two cases, but we hope that won't happen.
How many lawsuits did you have about for the last reval?
You know, I won't have that information. I can go back and look and get that information for you.
All right, any other questions? Well, thank you everyone for attending tonight. I just have one question. Representative Foster, how's the baby?
Oh, the baby's doing great. Thank you.
Okay. How old is the
Yes, you
baby? A
missed
month?
it.
Yeah, she's just, I'm actually holding her right now. Let me turn my volume.
Oh,
Oh
he
yeah,
turned-
let's see the
you weren't
baby.
here. He turned her on. Look.
What's the baby's name?
Blair Foster. Yep.
Claire?
Blair.
There.
Blair.
Uh,
Yeah.
She's so
cute.
alert.
Oh yeah. Yeah. She's awake right now, which is good. Hopefully she sleeps all night.
Well, that's good. Congratulations again, Chase.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. So having no other business except for sharing Representative Flax's bagels. I don't
Yes, he
see
was
him,
on, he had the food duty tonight. Is that what it was?
My wife puts them in, she makes them, they're in the oven, but she had to step out. I had to get them out of the oven or I get
And
in big
she
trouble.
mixes the dough and everything. It's not
Everything
like-
from scratch. Yeah, they're really good.
Oh, don't tease us. Don't tease us.
If next, well, when we do food again at the RTM, we'll bring some.
Okay, I'm
You
gonna
know
hold
what
you
he's
to
having
that.
for breakfast
All right.
anyway,
Even
right?
if I'm not on it, I'll still bring it.
And Representative Flax, I'm going to call you about volunteering.
That'd be great. I love that.
Okay, all right. All
Yeah.
right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, so I have 7:38. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Thank you.
I
Good
really
night.
appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Good meeting.
Good
Good
night.
night, everyone.
Good
See you next
night.
week. Job, Chairman Washington.
I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, Bev, thanks for telling everybody.